Okay, and we are live once again, guys. तो एक बार फिर हम लेकर आ गए हैं आपके लिए ऊनो कॉइन का AMA एपिसोड which is today very special, my dear friends. The reason being, आज हम बात करने वाले हैं क्रिप्टो रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क के बारे में इंडिया में स्पेसिफिकली, एंड उसके लिए हमारे साथ आज बहुत ही खास गेस्ट जुड़ चुके हैं. तो हमारे साथ है हमारे आज के खास गेस्ट सुरिल. Suril Desai is a lawyer with an expertise in technological lawsuits. Along with that, he is a Bitcoin and blockchain enthusiast. And the best part about him is that he fought for the legalization or maybe the legitimacy of Bitcoin in India for a very long time. And of course, the results were really good after that. And of course, we have Sunny here, who you already know, the president and the co-founder of Unocoin. Hi Suril, hi Sunny, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Excellent.
I
Happy to
am
be here.
super excited for this particular episode because I mean ये सवाल हम सबके मन में रहता है जो भी क्रिप्टो करेंसी में इनिशियली आता है या फिर काफी टाइम पे जिनको हो गया इन इंडिया स्पेसिफिकली. ये एक बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन है कि बिटकॉइन का लीगल स्टेटस या जो रेगुलेटरी फ्रेमवर्क है वो इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है एंड उसको समझना इज वेरी टिपिकल. सो आज हम उसी के बारे में बात करेंगे. So before right away starting off with the questions and the main topic, Cyril, I really want to know your entire journey around Bitcoin, where it started, and how you became this enthusiast, and where it came all the fighting for the legitimacy part and everything.
Yeah, so my journey with Bitcoin actually started in 2011, 2012 types. And at that point, I was researching privatization of space exploration. And a colleague of mine came up to me and said, while you're looking at that, make sure you look at Bitcoin. And I started a Google search and I read up on it. And the only thing I could find at that time was how it's being used for illicit drug trades and things like that. And then I got onto the Bitcoin Talk forum, and then I was just navigating it, and then I just left it aside for a while, like till 2012, 2013. And in 2013, I discovered the Global Bitcoin Conference, which I believe you guys were behind, like it was CoinMonk at that time, and CoinMonk had organized this first Bitcoin conference in India. And I mean, for its time, it was an expensive conference, right? For 2 days, 10,000 rupees is not a small amount, especially for a nascent industry like Bitcoins at that point, right? And so I decided to go for it. It was in Bangalore, and then I went there, and the rest is history. That's where I connected with Sunny, and then Sunny came to Bombay, and I told him that I have a law firm. My father has founded a law firm, and we have been researching on Bitcoin and stuff like that, and we'd like to have a discussion. And Sunny and his team at that point came down, and we were talking about making a representation to the government. And this was sometime in 2013, December, I guess, right after the conference. And on Christmas Eve 2013, the first notification against Bitcoin comes out from the RBI, and all the exchanges at that point, and they weren't really exchanges, they were just platforms, right, where you could buy and sell Bitcoin. Many of them got raided by the enforcement directorate, and there was a panic in the market, and everyone was a young guy. I don't even think there was any formalized companies of sorts or anything like that at that point. And they approached us, and then we since we had done our research, we had looked at the Coinage Act, we had looked at all kinds of the Constitution, we had looked at everything. And at that point, we were confident that Bitcoin is not illegal in any which manner in India. And we just had to make the case for it. And if we had to make that case, we would have to make a representation to the government, but to make a representation to the government is a tedious process. So we decided to hold a press conference where
Yeah.
and we decided to take the bull by its horn, you know. And long story short, we had the press conference, and you know, we had people from the community back then come and talk about Bitcoin, how it works, how it operates, and the technology behind it. And in the grand finale of the conference, my father goes up and says, Bitcoin is not illegal per se, according to our research. And that statement was picked up by almost every newspaper, business newspaper in India. And the headline was like, Bitcoin's not illegal, says Nishith Desai. And within a few days of that, the crypto exchanges were back up and running. Fast forward to 2018, when RBI again issued a notification, which was kind of prohibiting the banks to allow bank accounts for the crypto exchanges to be operated. And again, the industry came to a standstill. And then in April of 2000, this was in April of 2018, and in May 2018, we filed a writ petition saying that this is too extreme a move, and we filed it in I don't remember which was it, the High Court or the Supreme Court, but we filed it, and over in, and then we fought that case, and 2 years later, on March 4th, 2020, the Supreme Court came out with the Honorable Supreme Court came out with a really good judgment favoring crypto, you know, favoring the whole industry. And I think there isn't any such, it's a 180-page judgment, and I request all the viewers to at least glance through it, if not read it end to end. It's a really beautiful judgment. It really uh, can put India on the, you know, if the political will is there, then India can be at the forefront of this industry. And now we are back to the present, where I am just, you know, just enthusiastic about the whole idea of decentralization.
अमेजिंग आई मीन मैंने इस पर्टिकुलर स्टोरी के बारे में सनी से सुना है बहुत डिटेल में, सात्विक से भी सुना है, एंड इट्स डाउनराइट fascinating for me to actually see how much of hard work you guys put into, you know, at the Supreme Court during those hearings and everything. और वो पूरी जर्नी काफी इंटरेस्टिंग है बिकॉज something so new like crypto, and then the Supreme Court coming up with something like that, and then fighting against that in the court is something very great. So Sunny, what do you think about this entire thing, and you know how Cyril explained the entire scenario? So what are your thoughts on this?
Oh my, I mean, I get goosebumps whenever I hear it, right? Because it feels like just yesterday I met Surreal. I think he was sitting like front row at that or close to it. And so, and then the other thing I want to quickly, I mean, it's hard for him to talk about, you know, his father and his firm and Nishith Desai and Associates and all that, right? But I've, you know, kind of had a chance now to work with a lot of lawyers around the world, et cetera, et cetera. What they've built over there is really something, you know, it's a marvel in the sense that, you know, I was going to ask you, Surreal, just to go really simple, what is a lawyer? Like, what does a lawyer do? Because like I feel like the one takeaway from me is I have a tremendous amount of respect for lawyers now, and I could always go as far as to say love for lawyers, right? But that wasn't always the case, because lawyers do have a bit of a bad name right out there. So what do lawyers do, if you had to break it down?
I mean, to put it in computer science terms, a lawyer is nothing but a hacker, right? I mean, if you look at lawyers, they look at the law and they find loopholes in it. They find places. They find ways of when it comes to defending a client, they find answers within the text of the law itself, right? And it's like a, you know, and the law is nothing but a big code, right? I mean, it's coded. It's code by words, you know. And lawyers are basically hackers who found a way around the system. A good lawyer always finds his way around the system and makes his point using relevant logic. And so lawyers
Mm.
and hackers have a very similar mindset if
Ethos.
you think about it.
Mm.
They
Mm.
don't want to break the law, they bend it, right? and
Mm.
uh, and they find ways of how to leverage what they know and make a good use case. So, I mean, you have lawyers who defend the most heinous of criminals, and those criminals sometimes even get away with it because there are some discrepancies in the law itself.
Mm.
And they try to find answers to modern day society using innovative mechanisms to think and use
Mm.
new. So, I mean, if you juxtapose a lawyer's and in the digital world, hackers are like lawyers, right? They can get you information that's not available. That's one part of hacking, but the other part of hacking is to build, right? You have
Mm.
to be able to uh, break into a system, and then to make it stronger, you need to understand the system itself.
Mm.
And 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 coders and hackers, that community is very similar to the legal fraternity.
Mm. Is it true that many of your lawyers have technical backgrounds, like are engineers or something? I heard that a long time ago, or some of them rather.
Yes, so we have engineers turned lawyers. We have our pharma life science practices led by uh, Dr. Milind Antani, who was a surgeon, ENT surgeon for 14 years.
Mm.
And 14 years into the practice, he decided to do a career change. So now he spearheads our life sciences practice.
Mm.
And uh, and then we have chartered accountants who become lawyers. So when it comes to tax planning and all, it's helpful.
So I have a question for you. Okay, so and again, I know we have a lot of more like questions of the hour, blah blah blah. But I like things that are more a bit more evergreen and everlasting, right? And these are very basic questions, but I feel like sometimes the most basic questions most people are afraid to ask because they don't want to look stupid, right? So I'm okay with looking stupid.
Okay.
What does human rights mean? Okay, because I mean, from my understanding, if I had to explain our court case, Harish was put on the stand. The judges asked, "Well, show us a case of a human that was their rights were violated." And a lot of this sometimes gets lost in jargon. But what does it mean to have human rights? What does it mean to defend those rights? And again, I know we're using words like hacker and loopholes in a positive light, but I want to also be very mindful of the person who's maybe checking into this for the first time and doesn't have this worldview, right? Because if you talked to Sunny 10, 15 years ago and you said words like we're trying to break the system, blah, 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 I would have a bit of a heart failure, right? So it's not break in like a negative way, right? It's more like, to bring innovation and move the world forward. Am I right in saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think uh, human rights stem from an era where we had the World War Ones and twos, right? Where we had seen the atrocities that were committed during that period, and the human rights that embody the large world today. It's about making sure that hurt we don't hurt each other. It's designed to make sure that we don't uh, unscrupulously kill each other, or do things that are violative of certain sense of, I don't want to call it privacy, but space, like in the sense that no one should it it stems it has a lot of religious context to it too, right? Because hurt no one is a common theme of all religions, right? Be kind to your neighbor, be mindful, be it you take Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Sikhism, all of them, right? They have this pertaining theme that says that hurt no one. But what ends up happening is that these religions themselves start fighting with each other. And that's when we have issues. And that's when human rights just go out of the window, and people
Hmm.
get so enamored by use of force and brutality that it so human rights to a large degree stem from the area. I mean, we talk about human rights, but human wrongs are mentioned in your code of conduct. So I mean, we have human rights, but we should also have something called human wrongs. What is unacceptable to society? What is harmful to the society? And especially when we are entering this new era of generative AI and chat GPT, and all of these new technologies, quantum computing, all of that being hurled at us like the technology is coming like a comet, right? It's either going to, I mean, either we harness all its potential and create a system where we can uh, you know have fun with it, rather than fear it. And right now, what I feel, coming back to the topic of regulation, I feel the regulators are extremely scared of it, in all sense. And that's why they're trying to bring in regulation which slows down the speed at which the comet is coming to us. But the comet is at we I mean, I think we are heading towards singularity, and what we and we we are going to see some epic changes in the next 3-4 years.
Hmm.
Indeed, 100%. And on that note, I'll be taking these questions from our comment section that are
Sure.
right here. First, we have Sheikh Altaf who's saying hi to you both, of course.
Oh,
Mallikarjun is here asking, hello, Sunny and Suril, two big technological enthusiasts in one frame. So, seems he's very excited. Then we have a question from Malika Arjun. He's asking, does banning crypto poses a serious threat to the macroeconomic and financial instability of the country as people trust Bitcoin?
Ooh. Can you repeat that question, please?
it's on the
Yeah,
screen there.
sure.
Yeah. Does
I
banning crypto pose a serious threat to the macroeconomic and financial instability of the country as people trust Bitcoin? It kind of, I don't know. But yeah, do you want to
I
comment on that?
I mean, Bitcoin is not a threat; it's an opportunity, right?
Hmm.
And the current global system, if you look at the time at which crypto and the Bitcoin white paper came out, immediately after the financial collapse of 2008. And obviously, it's not a threat to the system, but it's more of a disruptor. It's like, just like how email came and disrupted the postal and the telegram services. Bitcoin and crypto are going to disrupt the banking system as we know it. It's already started happening, and if Bitcoins was called Bitpoints instead of Bitcoins, I think we wouldn't. It would have just,
Fizzled
gone
away.
unnoticed.
Hmm. Good point. It's real. I have a question. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the US. I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering about those topics as well, right? I'm sure you're following. Do you have any general thoughts, or do you want to maybe stay out of that conversation and move into the,
No,
separation of money?
no. See, uh, I mean, with all respect, like right now we are in an era of where we have centralized exchanges. So there is that one point of failure,
Hmm.
and soon centralized exchanges are just in the interim a bridge to make it easy and convenient for people to buy and sell crypto. But as we move forward, centralization will become decentralized exchanges, right?
Hmm.
And if we see, SBF and FTX and stuff like that, if we talk about it,
Hmm.
or we talk about what's happening with Binance right now,
Hmm.
it's like Binance and FTX were the two exchanges which were behemoths, right? And then you have
Hmm.
Coinbase, and then you have Kraken, and then you have a whole
Hmm.
host of other exchanges. and what SBF unfortunately did is that I think uh, he 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 became too. He thought he was too big to fail, right?
Hmm.
And obviously a little amount of greed got into him, and then it spiraled out of control.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's I mean, and the thing that's the thing with centralized exchanges. I mean, I use centralized exchanges. Don't get me wrong, but I think like that one point of failure is there, that the exchange owner might just one fine day decide to shut down the exchange. Then happens, right? Or
Hmm.
a regulator comes and says that we're shutting this exchange down, right? What happens then? So uh, and how do you how do you uh, keep your coins safe, right? That's the big question, because
Hmm.
if because because right now the exchanges are, they are hybrid, right? They are hybrid between the existing fiat system and
Hmm.
the emerging crypto ecosystem.
Hmm.
And soon we'll have an ecosystem where fiat will probably disappear, right? And we are
Hmm.
looking at it, it's happening, like it's like smaller nations are looking at crypto as, and especially Bitcoin, as the uh, next reserve currency of sorts, and and same thing with Ethereum, right? People are looking at Ethereum and Bitcoin,
Hmm.
and the other altcoins are like, you know they are questionable, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, I feel that the we have to embrace it like how we embraced internet,
Hmm.
and the beauty of the whole decentralized system is that there is no such thing as we, right? It's like, if you have to say who represents the internet, you can't say we represent the internet. It's you know
Yeah.
it's 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 a whole everyone's opinions count on the internet, right? It's like
Hmm.
one tweet can change the world, right? Or
Hmm.
one uh, viral video can do a lot of things.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I
Some of you
think,
want to hit us up with a question? It's real up. I have
yeah,
like
yeah.
an infinite numbers, but I don't want to take up the whole thing.
No, no, absolutely. It's actually more fun to watch the two of you talk because you two, have this whole thing where you have known each other and, it's interesting. But I'll be taking the questions, of course, because that is what the audience is here for.
Right.
So, another question from Malika Arjun. He's asking, where can I report crypto fraud?
uh, as of now, I mean, I think crypto fraud is like, like those emails you used to get, those phishing emails, and you know and if you have to do your own research, right, before you get into any kind of crypto or invest in any product. You have to make sure. I mean you can't really report it to anyone right now, because it's like, it becomes, it's a question of who has the authority over crypto, right? Because if you're going to report it to someone, that person will have an authority over crypto. And the whole idea is that it's decentralized, and the person who's committing a fraud can be penalized under the regular IPC, or the all those codes. And but right now, the best you can do is go to the police and complain, right? And then the enforcement directorate will look into it. But again, the whole idea of decentralization means that it's self-sovereign, so you have to be more watchful than ever before you ever indulge in any kind of like, I mean, someone tried to has been trying to use my Instagram account and get people to send them money, but that's ridiculous, right? And I've complained to Facebook, and Facebook has not really done much about it, so I had to change my username and things like that. So, we are on our own. You have to have your game plan in place. You have to think a lot before you indulge with anyone, especially someone who's just asking you to send some money over WhatsApp or a Instagram message. You got to be careful. You can't just believe the stuff that because technology has moved really fast, and it's it's it it's very hard to regulate it. I mean, at the maximum you can, it's almost impossible to find the fraudulent parties at the core.
Yes, absolutely. But Cyril, I remember reading this somewhere about the reporting the crypto scam part, that we can like how the Indian government sees, or the authorities would see that as similar to any other financial crime. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it can fall under that, but the thing is that financial crimes, like if you look at it, the state has a monopoly over finance in a broader perspective, right? The state prints the money, the state taxes the money it prints, and then when it can't tax it, there's inflation, right? And that's another form of taxation. So so financial crimes in this age of digital currencies and digital means of digital models is going to be redefined. What is a financial crime? Is it when someone who is rich and powerful commits a crime and gets away with it? It's like, let's take the example of the Fed Reserve. They've printed trillions and trillions of dollars, and that's causing is should that also should there be limits on the state, just like there are limits on individuals?
Absolutely.
Surreal, do you want to dovetail into? I mean, you brought up religions earlier, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, I'm like my wife is Christian, my parents are Hindu. A lot of my friends are Muslim. I think religions are quite beautiful. My religion, when people ask me, I just say I'm confused, right? Because that gives me a free ticket to go into any mosque or any church and just learn. However, humans did have the realization quite some time ago that there was a need to separate religion and state, right? Is there another day coming when the state might recognize, or humans might recognize, that we should also perhaps separate money and state?
Of course, I mean, that age is coming sooner than we think. I mean, it's if you look at historically, there was a statement made by uh, DW or FW Rothschild that give me the power to control the money, and I care not who the prime minister or the political leader of the country is, right? So now I'm saying that, give me, take away all my rights, and give me four rights. Give me the right to vote on the interest rate. Give me the right to vote on what the tax rate should be. Give me the right to vote on how much money there would be supplied in the market. And these three, four rights you give me, then I don't need to, because when you have power over your own uh, self sovereign uh, sovereignty over finance, it you don't really need that much governing. And if you look at the cost of governing, and the taxes that are raised, it becomes a situation where uh, you know we pay taxes, and the tax, it's like, if you take if the government wants information from you, you have to give it on the spot. But if you want government to give you information, you have to go through an entire process. So the citizens have to look at it from a different perspective. They have to put on a new lens. It's it's uh, and money is a form of freedom of expression. Like when you have money, you are able to express yourself. So constitutionally, it's a protect. It's like if I have sufficient amount of money, then I can do and uh, do and say whatever I want and get away with it. I get free time, leisure time. You know, and there has been this systematic use of money, and the monetary system hasn't changed in over 1,000 years. It's the same uh, thing that keeps on emerging day after day. It's the same issues. Every few years there's a crisis, then there are more regulations, and now we are over regulating ourselves out of existence.
Absolutely. I totally agree on the part where the over-regulation was mentioned, and of course, like you said, the governments are scared of the technology, and they're not completely understanding that that plays a very important role. Where they're starting with all the over-regulatory policies and things that they're coming up with. So we're gonna quickly take a few of these comments that we have right here. Ilona Mehta is saying Kraken encourages self custody. I think that was in response to one of your previous answers.
Everybody does. I mean, even at Unocoin, once
Yeah,
you buy your
that's what
Bitcoin,
I'm
take
gonna
it.
say.
Yeah, take possession of it. But I don't think
You
all the
have a feeling
exchanges in
of
India allow you to take your crypto. We'll leave that for another podcast. But no, I think it's an interesting conversation. Do you have any questions, Shambhavi, for Surreal? Other
yeah,
ones?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We have a lot of questions from the audience over here. So Karthik is asking, can you tell me something about S group? I'm not sure if we understand your question completely, Karthik. So Karthik, if you could,
As
just
escrow
reiterate
account, as in escrow account, ESCROW.
S group. That's what he mentioned.
S group. No, I don't know about S group.
If you could just reiterate your question. Next, we'll take up Saurabh's question. Saurabh is asking here why Indian government is behind only crypto because shares, mutual funds, all these are also risky. Then why only crypto is being targeted?
Sunny, you want to take that or should I take that?
Yeah. This is about you. I'm on the show every week.
No, I think the reason why they're going after crypto is because they they think that that it's it's like when institutions are getting disrupted, they go after the lowest hanging fruit, and crypto has become such a common thing now that they find it easy to blame everything onto crypto. Like everything from it's so that's why they're going after it. And yeah, there is insider trading everywhere, right? So
Hey,
so
sorry.
yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say is that I was just at Bitcoin Miami, and Robert F. Kennedy from the
Yeah.
left was talking about the Bitcoin standard, and then you had from the right DeSantis talking about Bitcoin, right? So it is entering the political kind of arena, right? It's
Yeah.
becoming almost like a national issue. So it looks. I'm sure there's like darker days ahead before it gets better, but it does feel like there's hope in the horizon.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
especially
yeah.
when you alluded to El Salvador or countries like El Salvador that are adopting it.
Central
Um,
African Republic and stuff like
let
that.
me ask a question. I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but like, I think about this a lot, obviously. But how do I ask this? Do you ever see the Indian government moving towards seeing Bitcoin as a reserve currency? Like, what needs to happen between today and let's say 10 years from now for that light to go off? And I'll just preface this by saying, from what I heard, Russia and India is trading oil, and and maybe Russia's like, what are we going to do with these rupees, right? Well,
Yeah.
maybe they can all think about using something
See,
like Bitcoin,
I mean,
right? Like, wouldn't
I
it?
put it in a very simplistic term.
Yeah.
Cyber warfare is happening on a tremendous scale right now. There are cyber attacks almost every single day and every single minute, and the the cyber the hackers and the cyber attackers, when they ask for ransomware, they don't want it in fiat, they want it in crypto. So whether they like it or not, the governments will have to keep a stash of crypto. It could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Matic, whichever. But they'll have to have a basket full of cryptos, Moneros and stuff like that, right? And they would need a basket full of cryptos to pay off the ransomwares. And, and sometimes you won't have any option left but to pay the ransomware. I mean, because so as far as ransomware goes, cryptos are going to be the currency for ransomware, and you can't stop that, right? It's like you can't stop me from sending an email to someone, right?
It's too much. Yeah, it's funny.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not funny. It's when you get attacked, but I'm just saying it's just ironic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, anyway, Shambhavi, I keep going. You have another question? I guess some people are asking other questions. Have you?
We
Yeah, go
have a
ahead.
lot of questions.
I know you're blowing up the comment section here, Surreal.
Yeah,
Normally it's
even
like
have
crickets. Like normally I have to get my mom to join this call just to have a few viewers, but today it's
no,
no,
I
I'm
mean,
kidding. I'm
honestly, I
kidding.
have a lot of questions of my own, but I think it's
Yeah,
more important for us to address them first.
sure.
So, Vibe Booster is saying I have questions. Vibe Booster, you can simply type down your question in the comment box and I'll address them for you. I'll ask Suril and Sunny to address them for you. Here we have another question. Oh, here's Vijay Baheti, sorry. He's asking how wallet address is decided, whether the address is in India or abroad, whether this could cause any FEMA violations.
See, I mean, if you're going to deal with crypto, you're going to get notices. If you're going to be exchanging, you will. Because right now we are still in an era where fiat is still the prevalent currency. So you have to follow the norms of finance that the regulators want, and there'll be PMLA and stuff like that. So, I mean, the technology is ready to bypass all the existing financial systems. Like if you look at DeFi and stuff like that, you can literally have a parallel economy now, right? And and you know it's up to you how you know what I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't quite clearly understand the question, but from what I understood is that if you know if the wallets can be masked, you can mask them, and you can so you won't know the origin of where the wallet is. And if you're doing those kind of things, obviously it's nefarious activity, and it'll all depend on the intention you had for doing that transaction. So uh, so and capital controls exist in India, and because of that, these issues of where the wallet is located and all that come up. But if you look at the world as a one world, then it shouldn't really matter whether the wallet is in India or whether it's in Pakistan. I just want to drop in Pakistan because it's the country that and or China. It shouldn't really matter. It's like you can send emails, just like you can send emails. You should be able to send money, just that simple. And this technology that we have in front of us is capable of doing that. I mean, everyone's talking about Chat GPT, but I'm talking about Finance GPT, right? Just imagine if you have Amazon, if you have a refrigerator at home and that's connected to your Alexa or your Siri, and you're placing an order on Amazon, and the blockchain in the refrigerator communicates with the blockchain of Amazon and orders food for you and does all those payments. So does it really matter where the blockchain resides? No. So this is just a temporary thing, but in the long run, I think it'll be seamless. It'll be like it's uh, it's like the whole idea of territorial sovereignty is going to change.
Agreed, 100%. And I think that was the vision with which Satoshi created this particular thing in the first place. And I think it's beautiful because Sunny often describes how it's easier, it could just go with Lightning Network, like, through transfers, you could just send money in what, a fraction of a second. And it's actually very beautiful. So hopefully it's going to be a great, great, great opportunity for us to explore when it comes to, export trades and those remittances and all the other things.
Hey,
I'll be quickly taking.
I was gonna say, Surreal, do you mind sharing your tattoo on your arm? Just for the look at this one, Shambhavi. That's a Bitcoin logo.
Oh my God.
Surreal, do you mind commenting quickly on like kind of the Bitcoin, let's say, versus crypto narrative? Like, how do you kind of position that in your head? Because I know you are obviously, I mean, we all got in because of Bitcoin. We all love Bitcoin. You're wearing a shirt that says crypto. Unocoin is crypto ka super app. But like, how do you, I don't know, it's kind of a really open-ended question, but how do you kind of position that in your head?
Yeah, I mean, there was a point when I was just like, I look at Bitcoin white paper as like Andreas Antonopoulos told me that, you know, Bitcoin is like the Pythagoras' theorem, right? And uh, it's like with that theorem you can build monuments and you can build missiles, right? So and similarly, I used to just believe that Bitcoin is the only one, but I felt that there are other cryptos which have emerged from the same formula, right? And so I said that, you know, Bitcoin was this was the is the was the was like the key to start the engine, but now, you know, people have the option to change that key and make it into Solana, Matic, Avalanche, whatever, right? And they all have their own role to play. So while Bitcoin is always going to be my favorite, I feel that others should also have the opportunity to create something new, you know, because all of them are creating something new. And that's why I like crypto also, right? I mean, Bitcoin.
But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, so there is the idea of Bitcoin being the, you know, Bitcoin maximalists are there, and I agree with their viewpoint also. But that does not mean I should stop looking at other cryptos, you know,
Of
because
course not.
it's like, think of Bitcoin as World Wide Web and think of the other cryptos as the websites on the World Wide Web.
Interesting. That's a nice way to frame it. Yeah. No, I mean, there's this asymmetry, right? Where you have like, founders trying to get rich off of the coin. Oh, maybe it doesn't pass the Howey test. Oh, you know, there's all these like jugad, right? People play, right? So I'm curious, but you've been watching this 10 years now. Have you seen any signal, like true signal? Look, I'm a big fan of the free market over Bitcoin, I would say, right? Because free market precedes that and supersedes it. However, I want to not be a Bitcoin maxi. I want to like something else because I love, you know, I think if someone can create Bitcoin, someone can create something even better. But I haven't intellectually been stimulated by anything yet. It does feel like marginal, like they're just putting makeup on Bitcoin and, you know, we're going to make it faster. But it's like, dude, what about Lightning? Or we're going to, you know, this or that. It's like, I don't know. But I agree with you that I want to fight for the right for anyone to try, right, different things, and anyone to, you know, if they want to buy Solana, then they should be able to.
I think.
Shambhavi, go ahead. I was going to turn it over to you.
So when Suril was mentioning about all those altcoins and stuff, I was wondering that Sunny would not directly agree to this point at all. But I agree to what Suril just said because, see, I do these coin histories, guys. If you don't follow our Unocoin page or Instagram, please go and do, because I post this. I mean, the social media team does. I do the content part. We do this amazing coin history stuff where we tell you about something unique related to a particular altcoin. And whenever I do the research behind that, it's amazing because each time I see something that is unique about each coin, and that is what makes it very interesting, the whole altcoins, and of course the Bitcoin is the OG king and everything. But then again, every other coin also has its own, unique feature that just depends on what you are looking for in a coin. So I also feel like that's also a very personalized approach. I'm just trying to give a very diplomatic answer
Yeah,
here.
yeah. No comment. Next question.
Okay, moving forward. Here we have, who do we have next? Okay, next question is for you, Sunny,
Oh God.
by Amya Malkan. She's
Hmm.
asking, Sunny, have you faced any backlash from the government with P2P transfers?
We don't do, I mean, I saw that question. I don't think, I mean, if they're referring to like a P2P, person to person exchange, that's not what Unocoin is, right? So we're like a centralized exchange, like Suril described, like Coinbase or Kraken. So no, we haven't, I guess, seen any backlash because we are not that. Now, the second thing I was thinking is maybe they're referring to transfers between people, and we don't have any problems there either. So answer is no. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, next question will take up from Vijay Baheti again. He's asking, if one has to shift to abroad and he already holds Bitcoin, what is the taxation procedure or the status?
That depends what jurisdiction you choose, right? I mean, I think India is the only jurisdiction which is taxing it right now at the rate it is, and uh, you'll have to speak with a tax advisor in that jurisdiction and get a better answer for that.
Yes, 100%. So first you need to see which jurisdiction are you talking about. So Suril, since we are, just moving towards the end of our session today, I have this great question, which I think is great, by the way. So I really want to know, like you already mentioned at the start of our session today, that your father came up with this research which said that Bitcoin is not technically illegal in India. So, what is the legal status as of today of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in India?
See, I mean, when we started out, there was the earliest version of the Bitcoin and crypto regulation bill, which had come, consultation paper which had come out, which said that if you're seen holding Bitcoins or any crypto, there's a 10-year imprisonment. We have moved from that era to an era where it's being taxed at 30% because now the government sees value in it. Otherwise, it wouldn't tax it at this rate, right? And then there's that 1% TDS and stuff like that, which is really hurting the ecosystem. But at least we are clear that they won't be able to ban it now because they've taxed it. So because they can't ban it, they are taxing it.
Yes, true. And that is also a very discouraging thing, and kind of drives away the people who just started to explore it and everything. But yeah, we just can hope for the best and think that okay, it's just gonna get better, in future. So here we have someone who's a big fan of XRP. Intizar Ahmed. So I think when you guys were talking about Bitcoin and all coins, he came up with that I'm a big fan of XRP. He says that it's just a matter of time and XRP will be the only crypto having clear regulations in United States since SEC versus Ripple lawsuit is about to end. Well, like I said, it's a very personalized thing. You see value in different type of cryptocurrencies. So I want to know both of your opinions on this. Cyril,
You
let's
might
start
You
want
with
can
to
go
take
you.
it.
first. Yeah, go ahead,
Oh,
Suril. What?
I mean, I think XRP is looking at helping to build the CBDCs and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. And uh, I mean, I don't think the US government will ever ban other cryptocurrencies because I don't think if they were going to ban it, they wouldn't have allowed, SEC wouldn't have allowed Coinbase to list itself in the first place, right? So, yeah, I mean, you can be bullish on XRP for a while, but I think other cryptocurrencies will continue to exist in the US market.
yes. And Sunny?
Oh, no comment on XRP. I only talk about Bitcoin.
I thought you were gonna have something, major to say on this.
Oh no, I mean, I don't know. Oh, I shouldn't say this probably out loud, but I had a call with I think the Ripple team a long time ago, and it's like 10 of them in a room on a Zoom call, and at the end of it, I was like, the work you guys are doing is really stellar. So people will get that joke if they do a little bit of history research. Anyway, I'm
Okay.
kidding. No, Ripple's great. They're a free market, right? I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm not, as you know, Shambhavi, not a huge fan of CBDCs. I think they're like a totalitarian nightmare and a matrix grid that's gonna oh my god, make our future look not so happy. But yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of XRP, you're a fan of XRP. I'm more like I said, I think Bitcoin is super, super interesting. I think it has something called network effects. I think the first to market thing, I think it just gets it right. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go ahead. Karthik clarified on his question. By S group, he meant sincere system group. So, any idea what is this was?
Nah,
I
we'll
have
skip
no
No.
that
idea.
question. I'm not sure. I think we should maybe bring this one home. No, I think we're good to the end. That was a really good session.
Yeah,
I
I
don't see any
mean, it
more
is an
questions
amazing
here.
session. But we have this one last opinion because it has now turned into a discussion from an EMA, and I'm really liking how people have so many opinion on,
Hmm.
how things are supposed to be or how the things are right now. And Malika Arjun here is saying, I think Bitcoin survived a lot from a long time and it will have regulations soon. So, on the regulatory side, so I want to know this from you, Suril. From the regulatory side, when we talk about how beneficial or harmful is it, when the government takes these kind of steps towards crypto or something that is totally meant for people.
So if you look at Bitcoin, right? I'm talking about Bitcoin and not other cryptos. If you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is heavily regulated. It's regulated by the algorithm, right? I mean,
Yes.
you can't have more than 21 million Bitcoins. And, and there are these forks and everything that keeps happening. So Bitcoin is regulated by the algorithm, and it's the algorithm that's going to be the in charge. So if you are violating the algorithm in any which way, it won't permit you, right? And the governments need to understand that you know that when they're talking about regulating Bitcoin, I think they need to put on a different lens and see that, oh, the algorithm is the governing factor behind the entire Bitcoin blockchain, which is immutable and which has not been hacked yet and it's not been broken. And the verify it's every transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain is verified, right? And you have these all these nodes that are coming up, and it's more transparent, and the whole idea of regulation is to keep things transparent. And so any regulator that's looking to regulate Bitcoin will have to embrace the fact that Bitcoin is a completely transparent system.
Yes.
It's more transparent than the system we have at the moment, and that's what is the big uphill task for the whole Bitcoin community. That uh, if you look at our banking system, it's probably the most undemocratic institution in our society. you know you know a handful of banks decide what the interest rate should be. It's like there is no consensus taken into account of the people, and it just benefits the people who are on the top of the pyramid, while Bitcoin has shown that it can benefit people from any sector of the society. So regulating Bitcoin will be like creating a sort of elitism, that we can regulate Bitcoin. I mean, I don't think anyone can regulate Bitcoin or should regulate Bitcoin.
Yes, 100%. And the part where you
Amazing.
mentioned that it's better than the current systems that we have, I think most people who have been reading about Bitcoin or have been learning about Bitcoin would agree, because I and Sunny, we have these calls often or during our AMAs, and he describes about Bitcoin, and I think the most that I've learned from is from Sunny when it comes to Bitcoin and how it functions, its basics and everything. And it's actually, when you think like that, the current government system or the financial system, be that in any country, it's super flawed. Like, when it was created, we did not have a say in that, right? It were the people who were sitting over there in the parliament and who had their own personal interest, perhaps. They were doing all of these things. And with a technology like Bitcoin, we can actually have a say in the financial scenario of our particular country, state, wherever we are. And it's actually more beautiful that way because we know what's going on. That's why I think that was, I think, the vision of Satoshi also when he was creating it back in 2009 after seeing the entire recession. And of course, when we talk about inflation and other things, it's a great hedge. So we'll be ending our EMA for today on this note. It was a great session, Surreal and Sunny
Thank
both.
you.
I was so excited, and I'm sure our audience also loved it. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in and watching our today's AMA. Stay tuned and keep following Unocoin.
Thank you, Surreal. Thank you, Shambhavi.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Shambhavi. Bye. See you.